You're listening to The Nerd Couple Show. Settling nerd couple arguments one episode at a time.
I was completely mental.
Honestly, Ron, you're saying that about someone else.
What?
And here's your hosts, Jen Page and John Curtis.
You know how to love me like a nerd.
Good morning, nerds.
Morning, nerds.
On today's show, is Miss Marvel marvelous or is it missing the mark?
The importance of Showtime's First Lady and later some nerd news.
First up in Nerd Couple Argument, what movie franchise? Are those like ranches and franchise?
They're like branches.
First up in Nerd Couple Argument, what movie franchises do not have a single bad movie? And is Jurassic Park one of them?
Time for a nerd couple argument.
Oh, I love a juicy nerd couple fight, Mr. J.
So we watched the new Jurassic Park. Yeah, you deserve whatever just happened.
I
there.
can't do my Tyrannosaurus Rex this morning. What'd you think?
Jurassic Park World Dominion. What's it called? I don't even know what the actual
Jurassic
title
Park
is.
something Dominion.
Something. Anyway, it started a nerd fight because
You know what? I'm not going to say how I feel about it. I'm going to bring in a friend of mine to speak for me, okay?
oh god,
Me, Grimlock, no like the movie.
Why,
so
Grimlock?
loud.
Me, Grimlock, not in movie.
Bad movie. No. Do
For
you want
those of you listening to the podcast, I apologize. You can't see anything this weird.
But they know Grimlock. Everyone knows Grimlock. Thank you.
Is that how Grimlock sounds?
Yes,
is that like
exactly.
is that a really good?
That was
impersonation?
actually spot on, Grimlock.
So we saw Jurassic Park Dominion,
Mhm.
and before we get into that,
Really?
I want to. It's really interesting because I think it was 7 years ago, like yesterday, that I saw another Jurassic World. Harley, can you put up the? This is something I posted on Facebook 7 years ago.
Good Lord.
I left Jurassic World 10 minutes ago and my heart is still racing. I think I had like a dozen mini heart attacks and cried a bunch. Naysayers can suck it. It so feeds everything your inner child wants. Go see it. And then I also put Chris Pratt is the new Indy.
Okay.
Back
You know,
then.
hey, you are making the case for my dislike of the latest movie.
So before we get into your dislike,
Yes.
this is the thing. I'm seeing a lot of hating on this movie on the Facebooks, the Book of Faces.
What are they saying?
Everybody is saying it's a mess. But here's the thing. I went in just going, I'm going to have some popcorn and have a good time. And I had kind of had expectations where I was going to be bored even maybe. I was not bored once. It was super fun. It was fun seeing the old cast come together with the new cast. It was just a constant ride. I actually made notes because I knew that. I basically was saying, oh, this is what it was. I said, it's Fast and the Furious meets Jumanji, but with dinosaurs. What more could you want?
Okay. I'm glad you brought up the 7 years ago post talking about Chris Pratt specifically. The best part of this Dominion movie was the legacy aspect of it. Bringing in Goldblum and Dern and Sam something. Like those guys, loved seeing them. That was my favorite part of the movie. What happens to Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard when those guys start to overwhelm the movie?
What do you mean?
They get lost. They created this whole new reboot with Chris Pratt and Bryce, helming the whole thing.
I think Bryce, no, I disagree. Bryce, every frame Bryce Dallas Howard is in. Okay, let me first by saying I did not like Bryce. Getting tongue twisted today.
Yeah.
I did not like Bryce in the first movie, which was crazy because I love her and everything, but I think her character was written to be kind of unlikable.
Oh, of course. She was the antagonist for part of the movie.
I loved her in this, and I feel like every moment on screen, she was working it. I remember thinking it, watching it, going, man, she is just not letting a moment go by. And I know she's directing a lot right now, especially like on Mandalorian and such. And I think that now that she's directing, she's really, I mean, she already was as an actor, but I think now she's thinking
hit a
of
new
every
level. I
single
agree.
frame.
I-
She's thinking about them. She's not letting anything boring. Fantastic.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, I was wrong about
Stop. Say it again. What would you say?
Bryce Dallas Howard was a very great part of that movie because every time the camera was on her, her eyes filled up with perfect emotion, whatever the scene needed, and she was captivating.
Mhm.
That being said, What did Chris Pratt do in the movie? Tell me.
Well, one, he was the cool indie. He was the action hero.
Uh-huh.
I also think
You
that
can't remember because he didn't do anything. Like he didn't. Maybe he had a sentence with his daughter. I'm making air quotes, and he screwed that up, and that was it. That's it for Chris Pratt in that movie.
why it's an ensemble piece. Not everybody is going to get equal screen time. First of all, I thought everything he was in was great. He was still action fun. He's kind of been on my not liking so much because his personal posts he's done. I've actually stopped following him because it's just been a little bit making me not like him too much. But he made me like him again in the movie. So I think that's saying a lot.
That is saying a lot.
Also, you said you didn't like it.
I didn't.
How much did how fun? You just said it was
There was no sense of joy and like coming out of the movie. It was a good delivery system for popcorn. I'll say that. Also, what got lost in this movie? The dinosaurs.
That's not even true.
It is true.
No,
I got a new apex predator.
there's a whole sequence where it's legit Fast and the Furious with dinosaurs, and it is so fun. And I think that people are having issues with this, like not being realistic. But it's a freaking dinosaur movie set in today's time, or actually in future times of today. But you know, whatever today would be. It's not going to be realistic. Just go have fun, you heathens.
Remember when the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the only apex predator in the dinosaur world? Remember that? That was fun. That was good times. Now there's like 4 above him, and I don't even know who they are. Who? My friends, the dinosaurs.
Well, before we get into our next nerd couple argument about these franchises, I'm just going to say that I give Jurassic Park a 20, a full-on hit.
Big miss.
You're giving it a 1.
Big miss.
It's the first time that we've had a 20 and a 1.
Yep, big miss.
I
roll the dice.
I say see it, and I say see it in the theater with Gold. I'm really bummed we didn't see it in Dolby because there was a point where, like, there was like the little dinosaurs, and you could hear the like all over the theater, and even you were like, "Whoa, what the?"
Yeah. Okay, that was.
Could you
good.
imagine that in Dolby?
But the sum of the parts did not equal. I think something.
Was it not in Dolby?
Well, we couldn't get Dolby seats because all the theaters were sold out and we didn't want to wait. So we
got the nerd saying some stuff here. Fugu says, if you have to lower your expectations before the start of a film, then you clearly knew there would be issues.
That's not even true. I had to lower my expectations because everybody was hating on it. So that's not me knowing there's going to be issues. But yes, do I expect every movie I go in lately, especially when they're over 2 hours, do I expect them to be boring? Yes. Every time we watch a movie, I'm like, they need to cut out 20, 30 minutes of that movie. And I did not. I had a blast. And maybe I had a blast because I loved seeing the legacy characters and I just went on the ride. And I thought the girl who played the young girl was just magnetic. And
also underutilized.
What do you want to do with an ensemble cast? You want everybody to have the movie be 16 hours long.
They set it up for failure. You can't have that many groups.
She was not underutilized either. She was actually very well, like a very important part of the chain of the movie. Anyway, we got to move on because this started a whole nother
moving
argument.
on.
Well, we're not fully moving on because we're going to get into the actual nerd argument now.
Yes.
So that wasn't it, guys. Can you believe that?
Oh, I can't wait. Go ahead, say it.
I basically asked him, I say Jurassic World or Jurassic Park, the whole franchise, there's not a single bad movie. Now, Jurassic Park 2, I think it was, where they went to the city, had a little bit of flaws, but I still loved every movie in the Jurassic World franchise. And I said, what are some other movies that have perfect franchises? And what did you say?
There's no perfect franchises. Jurassic Park is definitely not a perfect franchise. Even Star Wars, which I love with every fiber of my being, is not a perfect franchise.
I knew he was going to say that. I disagree. I think Star Wars is perfect. I think I love every movie. Now, here's the thing. Now, when I say perfect, I don't mean the movies are perfect. I mean, you love every movie. So I'm going to give you an example. Put your face down. Sit all the down, as someone would say.
No.
So
Nobody's saying that.
No cap.
So I knew you would say Star Wars.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you this question.
Okay.
Oh, well, let's first establish. When I say perfect, I don't mean the movies don't have flaws because that's subjective, right? I mean that you love and would watch every single. Let me finish. You would love and watch every single movie in a franchise. So
multiple times.
So that said, Jurassic works for me because I would. I'm gonna give you an example of what wouldn't work.
Okay.
Transformers almost made it almost made the list for me, almost. But there was that one Mark Wahlberg one that was. I actually walked out of the theater. I don't remember the name.
I was
of
with
it.
you.
No, you weren't.
Yeah.
You were. No, I think I was by myself.
Remember that was the first time I got mad at you walking out on a movie.
No, I was by myself.
Okay.
Now you walk out on movies though. You're welcome.
Only because of her.
Anyway, my point is that's the only reason I couldn't make it because there's that one movie that I will never watch. I will never even finish it. So Star Wars. So you say that it's not perfect.
It's not.
Okay, so then which movie are you going to remake?
Last Jedi.
Okay, I hate The Last Jedi too. But
So
but it's still a perfect franchise in that it's not a bad movie. We're just not happy with the direction Ryan Johnson took it. I almost said Ryan Murphy. That would be an interesting Star Wars. What would a Ryan Murphy Star Wars look like?
Nope. It would be all the characters just murdering each other naked.
That's actually pretty spot on. Ryan Murphy does Star Wars. So you can't say perfect franchise and say I wouldn't watch Last Jedi again. Why would you even do that?
Because my point is like it's not like the Mark Wahlberg movie that I'm speaking of in Transformers is actually a really bad movie. Like it's unwatchable. The Last Jedi, I would totally watch it again. It just angers me because there's things that happen that I don't want to have happen.
I'm pretty
Okay.
sure you've watched it multiple times.
You
no?
have.
It doesn't matter though.
But that's the point.
But I don't like the movie, and I can't say it's a perfect franchise if one of the movies you just don't like.
But
And
also,
that's it. And that's subjective. Yes, I get it.
But also, when it comes to Star Wars, though, there's so many movies, and to have one that you don't like because you don't like what happened doesn't make it a non-perfect franchise.
But we're not talking about objectively.
It's
saying
not a bad
perfect
movie
franchise.
though. It's just you don't like what happened. If no, okay, answer this. No, answer this. If you were watching The Last Jedi in the theater that time, and at the end of that movie, Luke Skywalker all of a sudden badass whipped out his lightsaber and started fighting everybody and winning the day and did not have happen what happened, would you be like, I freaking love that movie? Yes or no? No excuses. Yes or no?
Look, that gives a lot of pro to a lot of cons. Okay. I don't know if it would be enough.
Okay, here we go. Here's my other ones I'm going to try to convince you are good, perfect franchises.
Okay.
First off, remind me, how many are there more than? Because also, by the way, guys, this is 4 movies or more. We didn't want to do trilogies. It's
4. Because we
literally had this conversation already. I'm not going to give you the rules again in front of everybody again.
Okay.
We agreed it was 4 movies or more, that trilogies were not part of this conversation.
Okay.
Because it's too easy to make a perfect trilogy.
All right.
People
I can't believe the premise of your whole argument. There's no such thing. There's no
anyway,
perfect franchise.
4 movies or more. Here we go. Remind me first, because I didn't look it up. John Wick. Does it have more than 4 movies?
That is not a perfect franchise.
Does it have more than 4 movies?
It has 4 movies.
Okay. Which
so
one
far.
did you not like?
Anyone after the first one, because
You're
they're
full of.
No, listen.
He's so full of it. He loved all the movies I've watched.
They
with him.
progressively got worse, and
The
worse
last-
is a big word
no,
because
that last movie, all the fight sequences were freaking insane. Like no other movie has done the fight sequences.
You talked highly about the last John Wick that came out.
Thank you.
look only because
Oh my God, his memory is what.
no. They progressively got worse because you can only world build so much before it just becomes repetitive, and it's now repetitive. John Wick, he comes out, he kills a bunch of people. I don't know what else they can do with that franchise. That is not a perfect franchise. Anything after the first movie is kind of a letdown.
I disagree. Here's another perfect franchise, but you have to be a certain kind of fan to like all these movies. He's not going to agree because he doesn't like any of the movies.
Okay.
Fast and the Furious. There
are a lot of people who would disagree with
there
that.
is every movie in that thing. If you're a Fast and Furious fan, every movie in Fast and Furious is a fun ride.
Who
No,
are you?
you-
What's happening?
You can't say that because you don't like any of the movies. But I'm looking to the fans, those of you listening to the podcast. If you're a Fast and Furious watcher, I would love you to chime in and tell me which one you didn't like, because I think they are all a fun ride. None of them are boring.
Much in the way that John Wick got repetitive, Fast and the Furious got repetitive and more progressively ridiculous.
That's the point of Fast and the Furious.
Look, I can go in there and be like, that was a little ridiculous, but I'm not going to be like, oh, that is a cool movie. This is another great movie in the franchise.
I thought I was the snob for movies, but it turns out he's the
Also,
snob.
what happened to you saying that every movie is the best movie ever, John?
What is that? No,
Every
no.
movie ever.
We have a fact check happening. Hafugu says John Wick 4 isn't out till next year, so it's currently a trilogy.
that's
So I'll take
2023.
that out for now.
Huh.
Also,
Jason says, I like cars, and Fast and the Furious is the definition of cashing in on a premise. Hey, it
But
works.
do you think it's a perfect franchise? No.
See, but you're doing this thing where you're going, it's perfect as in like you think Empire Strikes Back is a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And I could totally take every piece of that apart and show you how it's not a perfect movie. What I'm talking about is a franchise that has every movie you like.
Yeah.
There's no movie in the franchise that you go, I hated that one.
Look, Star Wars came really close, and that's a
Right.
lot of movies.
Moving on.
What else you got?
Mission Impossible.
No.
Which one was bad?
The second one where Tom Cruise's hair was long. Trash. Not trash. I don't never want to say that about a movie.
Wait, that's all you remember is Tom Cruise's hair was long.
It was just not a good, like, even people had problems with the first one. I was like, I like it. I went back and watched the first one. The second one was just, I don't even remember the third one. So how could a franchise be perfect if you can't even remember a movie? What happens in the third Mission Impossible?
Here's what you're missing about my discussion and why you're not making any sense to me. For me, when I say a perfect franchise, I will say it again for the 100th time in this discussion. I like every movie in that franchise. Like I couldn't say, let's talk about Back to the Future trilogy. I love part 1, can't stand part 3, 2 is okay. So that's why I would say to me, that's not a perfect franchise, but you love all of Back to the Future. You would watch all of them again and again. So if I let you be 3 movies, you'd say it's a perfect franchise.
Yeah, because I like the cowboy one when no one else does. I would say that.
Even though I think it's cowboy movies terrible. So I wouldn't take away the fact that you think it's a perfect franchise. I'm asking you, what do you think? Now I'm telling you what I think, and you're saying that can't be true because you only like the movies.
But
whatever.
you're saying Mission Impossible, and you cannot even tell me what happens in 2 or 3.
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you what happens in most movies I watch because my brain doesn't recall things like that. I'm not the kind of person who can quote movies and remember things.
If you're going to talk about a perfect franchise, I think rewatchability has to be a main factor in that
I
discussion.
would have rewatched. I actually planned on rewatching them, but there's so many movies in this list that there was no way I was going to be able to do it. Okay, my final one that I'm going to see what you if you agree or don't agree. Basically, I could say the entire MCU starting with Iron Man.
Oh my God. When you asked me to look at franchises, I poured over the MCU. I poured over every single franchise in existence. And I was like, no, the premise of your argument, there's no good franchise out there.
Okay, which
So
one do you
now
not like?
you're bringing up the MCU.
How many Avengers movies are there?
3. And I came close to agreeing with you, and I made my
there's
own
4.
list.
I knew it.
So
Since we can't use trilogies, the Captain America, 3 of those, I was going to say was a perfect franchise. I was going to say Captain America, First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Civil War. Those are all rewatchable, all great.
and then
but
all the Avengers, right?
The Avengers has Age of Ultron. Not good.
Why is it not
How
good?
actually dare you? How actually dare you?
What is wrong with that movie?
He was a crappy villain. There was no really progression on like the
So you didn't
franchise
watch-
as a whole.
You didn't watch that and think I'm having a fun time.
Is it? Come on, guys. Age of Ultron? Who's going to be like, oh, Age of Ultron. That's
I've
the number
watched-
1 Avenger movie.
I've watched that a million times. How actually dare you?
What happens in that movie besides a robot?
I can recap the entire movie.
So
Man.
Maria says that she thought Tokyo Drift was garbage, but she says she loves all the Mission Impossible movies.
Really? What happens in the second and third?
It is not about
Maria.
It is not about that. It's about remembering having good feelings every time you leave the theater. Doesn't matter.
We got some help from Jason again.
No.
Because in MI3, they get a mission and it's impossible, but they pull it off.
Moving on. John's
What a
annoying me. We're
couple
getting
of
in a real fight.
corpses, am I right?
I think they're kooky in a normal kind of way.
I wish we had a commercial break. Do we have a commercial you can go to? I need a commercial break. Do we have anything in here? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we do.
Probably.
Commercial break, please.
There's no commercials.
God dang it. I'm pretty sure we left commercials in here.
Anyway, what's next?
I need a commercial break.
Do you see what I have to deal with, people?
So I was
Um,
also going to say Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy, but we can't use trilogies. But Far From Home, not good.
What?
That was the Jake Gyllenhaal one. Nah.
It set up an entire.
Yeah, a setup movie.
It was still good. Oh my.
Also, Nolan's Batmans, the three of those,
really gotta move on.
almost.
We got.
I've been waiting for you, but you've been looking for a commercial.
I wanted a commercial because I need to yell at you off camera.
We got a whole day.
Why am I not hearing our transitions? Are you hearing them?
What a couple of corpses, am I right?
I think they're kooky in a normal kind of way.
So the new show on Disney Plus, Miss Marvel. I want to show you an image I found. Can you put Miss Marvel 1, please? Oh, wait, no, that's Cazadora, the film that I made. I just wanted to point out that we did that effect before Miss Marvel did. That's all. Here's my real.
That's the exact same effect, too. It's impressive.
I know. Thank you, Jason Gullifer, for making an awesome effect, and Amber Romero for letting us do your movie. So put up the real one I wanted to put up. So this was posted in Everything Marvel from Derek Foster Jr. He says, I don't get why everyone is hating on Kamala Khan. If anything, I figured y'all would relate to someone who's been an outcast because of her obsession with Marvel and superheroes, which is exactly why I love this movie.
The show. Are people hating on the show?
Yeah.
Where do you see this stuff?
I mean, come on. People find a reason to hate everything.
Oh,
Just
man,
like
it's
you and
so
Mission
good.
Impossible and Avengers.
That's different. I'm not hating on it. I'm just pointing out that you cannot call it a perfect movie.
Look,
anyway,
if you haven't watched it, it's basically I don't know, or if you don't even know the backstory, which I didn't know about Miss Marvel. She's a Muslim American who is obsessed with superheroes. She's made a costume to be Ms. Marvel for Halloween. Like there's a whole Avengers convention that she's got to go to, and then she gets this special sort of bracelet. No, it's not a bracelet. What's it called?
A bracer. We'll call it a bracer.
I forget what they're called, but anyway, when she puts it on, it's from her grandma. It comes from her great grandma, and she puts it on, and basically her magic is pulled out. And the first couple episodes are super fun of her learning her magic and figuring it out. And then in episode 2, she's already dealing with the reality of being a superhero and what that can mean, because you could kill somebody. You know, like it's
the show is. There's only been 2 episodes, but the show is doing so much. It's fleshing out a wonderful character in Kamala Khan. It's fleshing out a culture. It's fleshing out the Marvel universe some more. And in 2 episodes, it's been so fun. And then the first episode, remember how I was like, oh, this is like a Scott Pilgrim Marvel show. She's actually watching Scott Pilgrim in the beginning of the show. Did you see that?
No.
And they're throwing back to that. It's great. And in the second one, you know how you said one of the characters looks like Marty McFly because he's wearing a thing.
Her best friend is literally wearing the orange vest from Back to the Future. Like he looks like Michael J. Fox.
It's specifically done because in the comic, the character's drawing Back to the Future all the time. Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah,
and good a new costume department because I totally picked that up. I love the family dynamic. I think it's going to annoy people because it's very real, and sometimes people don't like that real stuff, especially teenagers. We're not sure if Harley is going to like it or not. But here's the thing. One of my favorite stories about this, Iman Vellani, I may be saying her name wrong, I'm sorry, but Iman Vellani is the lead.
Oh.
I don't remember how old she is in real life, but
she's spectacular.
Basically, she actually is a Muslim American who loves superheroes, who literally dressed up as Ms. Marvel when she was 15.
She cosplayed as Ms. Marvel. She was made for this role.
So apparently she wasn't an actor. Her aunt was on WhatsApp, and she got some casting call forwarded to her, and they were like, this is spam. Like, this is a scam. Don't do this. But I guess for whatever reason, Iman kept thinking about it, and she at 3 a.m. apparently on the day that the audition was due, she decided to self-tape herself. But she's not an actor. She when she's telling the story, she actually laughs because she's like, I read the other characters' voices and I lowered the tone, and like she just put herself on camera. And next thing you know, she's being flown to LA, and now she's Miss Marvel. It's her first role.
It kills me, not in a bad way. It's crazy to me that she's not an actress, because what she does on this show is so genuine and so. There's a montage where she's feeling great because she went on this date, and she's dancing around in her own universe inside of her head, and she's just so free. And that, do you remember that moment?
Yeah, of course.
It was awesome.
I love how they go between the fantasy and reality, and there's a lot going on. And I think the first episode was a little slower, but if you could stick with it, the second episode just moves. And once we're into it,
oh man! And now you're starting to like understand her powers. It's really cool.
Yes, it is. So watch it.
220s.
Vision, have you seen the kids?
We should probably just change subjects.
I just want to briefly touch base on Showtime's First Lady.
Yes.
We know we've mentioned it earlier before as one of the shows that you should be watching. You're probably not. If you haven't watched it yet, it's worth paying for a month of Showtime just to watch it. I think it's really important. Before we get into why it's important, I also want to shout out the women, Gillian Anderson, Viola Davis, and Michelle Pfeiffer, who play the First Ladies. They're giving performances that I've just never seen them give. They're
Of
unbelievable.
lifetimes. I mean, I would go so far as to say that Michelle Pfeiffer kind of elevates herself above the crowd a little bit.
Well,
too.
I don't know about the crowd. I think it's just that everybody's so shocked at seeing how different she is being from what we've known her as.
Yeah.
And we're used to like Viola Davis being
Yes.
amazing.
And yeah.
But Gillian Anderson, look at the transformation she has
Oh,
done.
you know what? I gotta give her props too, man.
Yeah, she's playing Eleanor Roosevelt. But here's the thing: I want to bring it up because I think that it's so important that everybody watches this show because they don't teach us about these women in history classes. I didn't even know about Eleanor Roosevelt, and I'm watching this show like mind blown at how much she changed this country for the better.
Yeah, these are stories that aren't taught in classes.
Yeah. And I love all the stuff, the behind the scenes with the Obamas, the things that like seeing it from Michelle's side.
Seeing it from the kids' side.
Yeah, it gives this whole. You already figured they went through a lot of stuff, being the first Black family in the Oval Office, but you have no idea until you see behind the scenes, and it's such a good watch, but it's also so important.
Was this based off a book? Do you know, or is
Yeah.
it original content?
So each thing is based off actual facts. The Michelle Obama stuff is based on her
her
book,
book. Oh, okay.
which I'm forgetting the name of now. I'm so sorry, but it's her memoir, so it's out there. But anyway, I don't know if you wanted to share anything else, but
That these women, I hope we're executive producers behind this as well, because their stamp will leave a mark for a while. And I do agree with you that this should be taught in schools.
yes, history teachers, just show this series. Just show this series.
Yeah.
Your classes.
Well, and it's also it would do a great job of empowering, women in that classroom, thinking that only men can grow up to be leaders of the nation.
Especially if it's like a social class, because like there's a lot of like female-led social classes. That would be a great show to show. At least.
Yeah.
I think dudes need to see it too, though.
Yeah.
Before we get into nerd news, I just wanted to. So you know how sometimes sometimes you're feeling down on yourself, or you feel like you're not doing enough, or you feel like I don't know, like you just don't know what the heck you're doing, and maybe you're down and you're miserable and you're depressed. This meme might bring you up.
Like, where are you going with this?
'Cause you know how to love me like a nerd.
Have a happy,
That's
a
right.
happy nerd meme transition. Anyway, this meme might bring you up. Sometimes when I don't feel great about myself, I remind myself that Arthur Weasley would think I'm incredible just because I can use a toaster.
He loves the muggles.
I literally think about that every day now. Like I'm doing the simplest things. I'm like, Arthur would be proud.
Yeah, but you're a wizard.
I know.
You don't get that luxury.
But he wouldn't be proud of wizards who
Can use a toaster? Maybe. He is Arthur Weasley. He's pretty happy all the time.
Anyway, that was just my stupid interlude. Let's get into a little bit of nerd news.
Ooh. What do you got?
I had to talk nerd news on this today because there's two very big announcements that have just got me in circles. I wonder if you have the same
Well,
ones.
it surprised me when you said that. So I started scouring some things and I know what you're going to talk about.
Okay, so
I didn't even write it down because I know you're going to talk about it.
the first thing I have to bring up that I'm very confused by is Lady Gaga
Not what I thought.
is in talks to play Harley Quinn
What?
in Joker 2, and it's a musical.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Exactly.
Okay.
I will say I love Lady Gaga. Everything. I'm not a fan of her music. That's just me. I don't like pop music, but I love the song she did "Shallow" from. I loved her in the movie The Star Is Born. I'm all about her playing this character and seeing where it goes. I'm just confused by the fact that this movie Joker that everybody loved, that was a serious drama.
Is now going to be a musical. Also, why replace Margot Robbie, who everyone
It's a
across
different-
the
Not the
board.
same.
It's different.
It's like a multiverse
Well,
thing.
'cause,
No, no,
like
it's
Joaquin,
different.
It's Joaquin Phoenix.
It's not the
Is the
same.
Joker
it's
there?
not the DC thread.
Man, they got DC.
Mhm.
Lock your stuff down, man.
Mhm.
It's getting. But whatever, I'll see it.
You want to say something before I?
No, I want to hear your. Oh, okay, I'll throw one in. I've been sitting on these for a while. Amazon is getting a live action Voltron. Dun 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 dun. Dun. Form blazing sword.
I just
Oh.
picture corny Power Rangers type thing.
What? Don't ruin it. No. Amazon's gonna do a good job with this. It's not gonna be corny. Power Rangers was the corny version of Voltron, essentially. I
would
agree.
like to point out Hafugu's comment really quick.
What?
Joker 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Nice.
Good morning, Summer and Andy. Thank you for joining us. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the big news that I saw yesterday that my brain exploded and I had to put it back in before I could type it. And this is probably what you were talking about. You knew I would say. Kit Harington
Yes, it is.
attached to play Jon Snow in a Game of Thrones spinoff series at HBO.
So check it out.
If there is any character that I will go back to Game of Thrones for, it is Jon Snow.
Now, timeline wise, no, it's Kit Harington. So it's going to take place after the end of Game of Thrones,
Yes,
right?
I would think so.
So, all you haters on the end of Game of Thrones, I'm the only guy that like how the series ended.
That doesn't no. So I know what you're gonna say. Because you like the whole wild things like past the wall thing. See,
Yeah.
I don't. I actually when this came out, I actually thought, man, if he would have been king, it would have been so cool. But I'll take it still.
See? And now you're going to
Yeah,
see.
but it has nothing, there's no C about it. We're not agreeing with you. We're just saying we want more Jon Snow.
But you're going to be able to see how he overcomes being banished to the wall.
He's acting like he's got this great revelation or this great.
It is. He's going to get.
You literally have.
He's going to get
nothing-
his due.
Yeah, but you have nothing over anybody who does not like how it ended. We still don't like how it ended. We still would rather have a different series, but at least we get a spinoff.
Maybe this show is going to try to appease those who didn't like the ending.
I don't know, but Kit Harington.
Last
Yum.
thing I got is Married with Children. Remember that
Yes.
show?
No, tell me it's not rebooting.
It's going to come back as an animated show
What?
with all the original actors coming on to voice their characters.
That's just dumb.
I can't wait.
That's just dumb.
I want to see how that show lives in today's world. Because if you go back and watch old episodes of Married with Children,
Yeah, I don't know. Hafugo asks, you wouldn't go back for a show for Maisie?
yes,
No,
I would.
I would not. And here's the thing. You've never watched a movie where Maisie was the lead. I have.
Okay.
And a show. And she has another show that was like a limited series or something.
Okay.
I've watched both of them. I think she's a great actor. I loved her character in Game of Thrones. I don't think she can. I don't think she's not going to have the pull that Kit Harington with me. I love what's her face that played Daenerys? Why am I blanking on her name?
Emily Clark.
Amelia Clark. I love her. We'll watch her in anything, but I'm not interested in her doing a Game of Thrones spinoff.
But
So-
didn't you love every single second Arya was on screen, becoming more and more of a badass? And now if you get to
but
see
she's
her
like
in a new
she's
land,
gonna be like 18, 19 now. She's not going to be a young kid badass anymore.
true. I mean, showing her rise from like a little girl who couldn't do
I
anything
would
to
love
like
to
the
see
most
her-
feared assassin in the world is something to behold. But now you get to see her as that assassin. It's like wanting to see Luke as a Jedi Master, you know?
It's not the same. Luke is somebody we grew up with in our childhood and we wanted to be and we pretended to marry or be with or whatever. Like
And
it's
he was a leading character in the movies.
yeah, it's just different. And I love her. I don't why am I what's her last name? Who?
Maisie Williams?
Maisie Williams.
Maisie Williams. I think she is just lovely, and I think that everything I've seen her in, I've liked. It's just not a draw for me.
A show where she's being a bad arse. Count me in.
Well, one more thing that we will just agree to disagree
This
on.
was a good nerd couple show.
Let's get the heck out of here.
Thanks, nerds.
Over.
Honestly, Ron, do you expect them to be here all day?
Before we go, if you like our show, share this video on your Facebook with a little note on why someone should watch.
You can find us and tag us on our socials at a Jen Page Film. That's at a Jen Page Film and at Jedi John Curtis.
And you can check out all things nerdy by visiting nerdcoupleshow.com. Thank you to our show producer, Harleen Quinzel.
Music by Chris Egger.
Opening animation by Jesse Yang.
Show transitions by Stephen Richardson.
Character voices by Lelia Symington and Heath Harper.
Thank you, our live audience and our listeners. You are what makes this so fun.
I didn't believe your reading of that at all. Try it again.
And thank you, our live audience and our listeners. You are what makes this so fun.
Try another one.
And thank you, our live audience and our listeners. You are what makes this so fun.
Now we're talking. Until next week, keep embracing the weirdo that you love and what makes them weird. Bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to The Nerd Couple Show. If you're having fun nerding out with us, please subscribe to Apple Podcasts. Rate and review as it helps others find the show, which helps us keep delivering fun content. We're also on all of your other favorite podcast apps. Nerd out all week with us on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. You can find us on all socials at Nerd Couple Show.
We want to hear from you. Send your questions and topics you think we should cover to nerdcoupleshow@gmail.com and check out our merch shop with original Nerd Couple Show designs. Visit thenerdcoupleshow.com to find all the ways you can get into the conversation, including our private Facebook community where all nerds are welcome. Thank you again for being on this hero's journey with us.
'Cause you know how to love me like